I'm joined by Shawn McCraney. He's a former Latter-day Saint of 40 years. He's now a non-denominational Christian pastor. He's also host of Heart of the Matter. You can find out more at hotm.tv. So Shawn, I've got a whole bunch of questions for you that were sent in by our audience, but before we get to those, let's just kind of set the scene here. Former Mormon, explain how that happened, what that means. Give us the background.
I was a returned LDS missionary, married in the Los Angeles temple, active elders quorum president, high priest, 3 children, very engaged in the church. But I did not know my relationship to God. I didn't understand it, even though I knew Mormon doctrines really well. Long story short, in 1997, I had a roadside experience that altered my views of Mormonism. I came to know God in a different way and ultimately left Mormonism and went to theology school and became a pastor, wrote a book, and it turned into a television show in Salt Lake, moved from Southern California, and began hosting it.
So it's interesting because after leaving the Mormon church, you moved to Salt Lake City, which is kind of, a lot of people might think that that's counterintuitive, don't you think?
Yeah, except for Southern California has a very large LDS population. Most of the Western United States, there's a lot of LDS, so not so counterintuitive, maybe in the East, but not in the West.
Okay, so then let's talk more specifically. How did your relationship to a lot of the people that were part of your life when you were in the LDS, did that change? In other words, were you seen differently? What was the reaction from within the Mormon church when you chose to leave?
Yeah, David, Mormonism uses totalistic methodologies in how they teach their people, meaning the LDS church is the only true church on the face of the earth. They are the only ones with priesthood authority from God, etc., etc. And when you leave, you either conform or you're cast out. And so when I left, I literally was ostracized by family, friends. Basically, they don't come out against you. A couple people have. They essentially act like you're dead.
So there's people in your own family, you're saying, that are no longer in touch with you because of your choice to leave?
Absolutely.
Okay, so when you see what's going on now with Mitt Romney and this presidential election, do you have any insights? Do you have any thoughts about what Mitt Romney's religion means for his potential presidency that the average person who's not as familiar with the Mormon church just wouldn't know?
Absolutely, David. And it's so amazing to me, especially how the evangelical, so-called evangelical church has suddenly held him up as a hero. You know, they've turned a blind eye to what they once really understood, and that is, they used to compare a Mormon running for president to a Catholic, like John F. Kennedy. Well, you know, it's the same thing. It is not the same thing. Mitt Romney, first and foremost, entered into an LDS temple. He raised his arm to the square, which to him means before God, angels, and everybody who saw him, and he swore allegiance to the LDS church and building it up first and foremost of everything he does in his life or will do in his life. It literally says what you have done or what you will do will go toward building up the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The religion began with theocratic ideas. Joseph Smith, the founder, ran for president of the United States. Brigham Young controlled Utah Territory in a theocratic sense. They have long sought for theocratic control, and they will get it. Romney's allegiance will be to the prophet of the LDS Church and to his faith far before it will be to the presidency, unless he's a liar. And then he's lying to God, angels, and witnesses, and he's given his allegiance to the country. It's one way or another, the man will be proven deceptive.
So let's think then about specifically what would that mean in terms of, for the average person who's maybe not that familiar with Mormon doctrine, how will this allegiance, this primary allegiance to the Mormon church be represented day to day in terms of either policy, or how will the average person see this if Mitt Romney is the president?
They're too smart, and I don't think they will see it. But it will happen subtly. First of all, Mormonism will gain inroads and roots internationally. it will proliferate internationally where the tenets of the faith are not as well known as they are in the United States. That will give them more power. Today, they bring in, this isn't known by most people, the Mormon Church brings in about $16 million a day in income. They are probably the most cash-rich church on the face of this earth. Now, to some people that would say, well, they know how to manage money. Let's put a man in office. But they don't realize the fallout. That Mormonism and Mormon industry, Mormon-led people will begin to get contracts like they've done in Utah for years. There's a buddy system that isn't seen. It's through their priesthood, and it will have an effect in the long term. Now, to non-Christian people, they probably don't care. But from my perspective, it's heinous.
Let's talk about a couple of other things that have kind of come up as controversies that a lot of people want to know about. One question that I got from Dal was, have you ever been involved or personally seen this retroactive or posthumous baptism into the Mormon Church, which has been so controversial, allegedly involved also President Obama's mother who passed away? What do you know about that?
It's endemic to Mormonism. They believe in saving their dead by going and doing genealogy, baptizing people who have passed on vicariously through somebody who stands in their place. It's part of their total control, and so they've had no care for who they've posthumously baptized or done temple rites for. They do it for everybody because they honestly believe that they have the thing that needs to convert the entire world. Additionally, David, Romney's place here is very much being hailed in closed circles of Mormonism as a fulfillment of a prophecy that has long existed. They call it the White Horse Prophecy. The Constitution states will hang by a thread, and the Mormon elders will come in and save it. They are viewing Romney coming and taking office as a fulfillment of that long discussed prophecy.
Okay, and then last thing, there's a couple of these Mormons for Obama groups or Mormon Democrat groups that are getting a little bit of news. You see them on Facebook, you see them here and there. On the whole, is there going to be any significant Mormon population that is not going to support Mitt Romney?
No. No.
Just no. That's
not
it. It's just mostly going to go for Romney.
No. No. I mean, there's a certain. I mean, like any religious institution, there's little different segments and sects within Mormonism. There's some intellectual groups. There's some groups that really want homosexuality to be embraced by the church. Some of those groups might vote for Obama, but they might represent 0.5% of the LDS population, active population.
All right. We've been speaking with Shawn McCraney, former Latter-day Saint of 40 years, now a non-denominational Christian pastor. You can check out his television show, Heart of the Matter, at HOTM.TV. Shawn, really a pleasure to speak with you. Much appreciate you taking the time, and we'll absolutely be tuning into your show.
Thanks, David. God bless. Take care.
Okay, thank you. We'll take a break. We'll be back with plenty more after this.